Approve the minutes of August 12th, 2010.
So move.
Second.
Do I have them?
I don't want.
Linda's not here, sorry.
All right. Any comments on them? Very well. All in favor say aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Is there anything we need to take out of order? Okay. Number 4, consideration of the bid award to Stansel Electric. Three. Sorry. Consideration of the request for water availability for Security Central Storage.
This is in the Grassland area. It is outside the city, so it has to come to the board for approval.
But it's in our service area. It's in our service area.
It's in our service area, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
it is in our water service area. It is for one single-family unit equivalent.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now we're on 4. Consideration of the bid award to Stansel Electric in the amount of $48,300 for the Cool Springs Boulevard and Carruthers Parkway CCTV project.
This is a project that we do have some money from a developer that was $30,000. We've spent $4,950 for the design. That leaves us a balance of $25,50. The bid came in at $48,300, so we need to make up $23,250 of the bid to award it. We do have the monies in the budget under signal upgrades, traffic signal upgrades that we can pull from that, so it will not need a budget change per se. It's just a shifting of some funds in that same budget. We would recommend approval.
Are these the people that sued us?
Highwood? No.
Stansel.
Oh, Stansel? Yes. Yes, it was in conjunction with the Municipal Services Complex. That is correct. Stansel and S&W, though, are the only two companies that do signal installations.
And the other one was 63 something, 67.6.
It was a lot higher.
And this is for a camera, correct?
Traffic camera.
Okay. Tell me, what benefits are we getting from cameras being installed? How is the city benefiting from that?
Well, we're able to keep up with traffic. We're able to actually change traffic signaling operations. Kevin, you want to explain it better? Let's let Kevin.
Yeah, I will.
The expert.
Are we getting tickets?
I will say it's each.
Okay, that's what we're doing.
No. I will
Watch this. Not yet.
Okay.
I will say that as we're, we have the 4 that we've been using for years on 96, so we're getting more out there, which is going to benefit the city more. This is just an additional one. So
yeah, and this one's at Cool Springs and Carruthers, which is an accident with not an accident, but an intersection with a lot of traffic, and we have some issues there. And this will allow us to monitor that traffic and make adjustments.
It's hard to believe that we don't already have one there, to be honest with you. I'm not faulting anybody.
Will it help with accidents? Will it help prove who's involved? In
No, we
that
don't do that type of monitoring. It just
we don't do taping.
Okay.
There's no recording whatsoever.
This is for traffic backup and traffic congestion, and it allows someone at the center to readjust the light, supposedly to let maybe one traffic signal stay a little longer green or red than the other.
Exactly.
But that's what this is for, and it's supposed to help traffic flow. When you've got it on 96, you're putting it in other places also then. But that's what this particular camera is.
It is a part of an intelligent transportation system. And basically what you're doing is trying to improve capacity without building lanes. The most, and as we've explained for years, the most that you can expect of increase in capacity without building lanes is about 5% increase. That's about, and we're not getting 5%, don't get me wrong, but that would be about the most you could ever expect to do. But it does help. It does help.
I think for our general public, they do not understand that. And I think that's one reason I want to have it explained a little bit, because they think it's more of a policing type of thing rather than traffic.
We haven't put those anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps with the efficiency of the intersection, helps reduce wait times, that kind of thing. We've studied it in Cool Springs and seen ability to significantly reduce wait times by this kind of...
Yeah, the Cool Springs timing study that we did, just the technologies involved allowed us to cut delays by about 6%.
So if I'm trying to get to Jack in the Box, I can just call you up, you can flip a couple switches.
I'm rolling.
If we had your correct number.
Is somebody sitting there monitoring this?
Yeah, we have.
Somebody's sitting right there. You're sitting right there saying there's a traffic jam right here. And
You know what you should do? You should take Miss Martin
Back to the
down
lab.
to the Traffic Operations Center sometime.
We have 12-hour coverage of
I'm
doing that,
serious,
Ms.
you ought to
Moore.
see it. It's
It's
pretty
really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
I'm
Monday
not
through
being
Friday,
facetious about that. I know I
6 in the
usually
morning
am.
to
But
6 at night. There's somebody there monitoring traffic and making little adjustments here and there, and all the little messages that I know each of you get. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
indicating where we have issues. So.
Mr. Chairman.
But I want to know who's involved in the accident.
In the accident, he wants to know the people that
I want to know the people
Well, I can't tell you that.
that are in the cars.
Okay, there's a motion. And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 5, consideration of the draft 2010 road impact fee study update.
We're presenting this to you with the realization that it's probably going to take several meetings. We wanted to get the information to you as quick as we could. There is some decisions that have to be made by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of which direction we want to go. We got to write an ordinance, of course, to implement it. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but if you, and you can go through all the verbiage and all, but the most important information is found on page 20 and page 21. That is where you're seeing a comparison of impact fees from existing to what the study is showing based on various alternates.
The significant issue is putting collectors in as a
Collectors
fee,
in.
as a fee trigger.
and right away. So, yes. But you'll notice that our cost, of course, have gone way up, so the impact fee looks like it does need to go up, way up also. I think the cheapest would be staying with arterials only without right-of-way, and that's a 34% increase on a single-family detached. Of course, it's broken down to all the various categories that we have.
Are we including in our cost basis Mac Hatcher?
Mac Hatcher is included, yes. Yes, it is included.
We had that
in the
conversation once upon a time.
The last time we did an update, we put back into the using of Mac Hatcher, whereas before we had it.
Yeah, we left it out at one time, years
and
ago.
If you think, we have set up in our budgeting for a presentation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, as the memo says, it's $2,000 approximately. I think it's up to or whatever. But what we were thinking is probably at the September, 28th meeting, probably trying to have them in here if we can schedule with them, which we think we can, but have them in here to do the presentation. I think you want to hear from our consultant. They do such a good job. I mean, I know Clyde and Dana both have heard them several times, and they do such a good job of explaining how we get to where we are. So probably want to go in and bring them in here and have that presentation, and just.
So do you want to know whether or not we want you to bring them in?
That's one thing, but then if you have any ideas of where you want to head, which I don't think you probably will tonight, I wouldn't ask for you to have it tonight, but as far as arterials only, arterial collectors with right-of-way, or whatever, there's 4 alternates, I guess, basically is what we're looking at. So, but we wanted to get the information out. So basically this is just kind of more of a receive the information night, and then we'll go work. Well, I think we need to move it directly to a work session to have the whole board hearing everything. At least that's our
I think you need to spend more time than 30 minutes on a work session.
I agree.
I think
Yeah, if we're going to bring these guys in, let's don't give them short shrift.
Would you want a session on this alone?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, we can try to schedule, we'll get with Eric's office and see, see when would be a good time to do it.
I think this is one of the critical things that we have that's going on, that we've fallen behind on. Now, they doing it every 5 years or something other may be satisfactory. I'm not saying it's not, but it's certainly something that we need to review, and we know ourselves. Our big capital projects are roads, and unless we're building a building, and whatever. But we know that's there. We know we need to be getting what we can get out of the road impact fees, and we know that there's a ton of roads that we need to be building. So I think we need to have a special session on that and spend the time that we need to spend on it, and I don't think 30 minutes is adequate for them.
Ms. Peterson?
The comment that I have is, it might be good to just have it on the work session to kind of get us thinking about it, because I don't think we want to have them come and us try to make the decision kind of at the, because, I've read through this, and some of it's just, But I think if we could get some kind of questions and then maybe have them come in.
Well,
it's just a thought.
Yeah, maybe this. Maybe we put it on a work session for a brief overview discussion, and at the work session there'll be some consensus to either bring them in or not. And if we bring them in, then bring them in on a separate event.
So you want it on the 28th work session, then
yeah,
make the decision to bring
for
them
the purpose of
not the consultants on the
20th. Just with you as an overview, and then say what kind of questions, what do you want to hear from the consultants?
Tell them we want to talk about this, assuming we bring them in. And then we'll schedule a time with them for a standalone meeting. Because I don't want to pay $2,000 and have them come in here and get shut down because we got to go on to a 7:00 meeting. Okay. Well, then let's do it that way. Okay. That said,
in the meantime, if there's any questions, any of you have, feel free, and I would say just email them to this Eric.
All right.
Well, this one thing, when I look at the percentage of change, the nursing home, why was that such a significant increase compared? Why was that 86% change versus everything else is in the 40s or the 50s?
On page
20. And even with the,
Well, it may have something to do with the Institute of Traffic Engineers projection or trip generation numbers, et cetera. They may have changed. So I could not answer that question too.
We can probably answer based on our numbers, our costs that we have provided them. They will probably get the details.
A lot of us are getting older.
I know we all do there. We don't want to have to pay double.
More popular than it was 5 years ago.
All right.
Then again, we're not going to be driving.
There's also one quick. Yeah, it's the chest pains calls.
I would also like to have, and we get started on this, is comparison of fees to surrounding communities, because we still have to be competitive to some degree with what's going on around our communities. And also, while we visit this every 5 years, do we have to be stable? In other words, can we implement this in a staged format?
That's what we did the last time.
We have typically implemented in 2 stages.
Okay.
I think every time we've been 2 stages.
At least, and the last time, if memory serves, not only did we stage it, we delayed the first stage by 12 or 15 months or something. Clyde, do you remember?
I think so.
I think we said the effective date of the first raise was projected way out because look, I'll just tell you guys what's going to happen is as we go towards this, we're going to have whatever's left of the development community and realtors coming in and telling us you're killing us again,
right?
And they're going to ask us to slow down and include them, and I'm not being pejorative about it. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
That's the reality.
And keep in mind, it does take an ordinance, and we'll have a public hearing involved.
Also, when we're collecting that comparison, let's make sure we get when that comparison updated theirs and how if they did incremental to solar.
Well, I don't know that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Well, you're not going to have too many comparisons.
That's right.
Well, there's not that many.
There's not that many communities in this part of the world that even have this.
Yeah.
And I would say that many of them that do followed ours. So well, I remember ours, when we, once upon a time when we did this, our comparison cities were like somewhere in Maryland and...
Yeah.
Probably Silver Springs, Maryland, and someplace else.
Yeah,
Austin, Texas.
Anyway, okay. Well, that's what we'll do then. Number 6, consideration of ordinance 2010-65, an ordinance to establish no parking fire lane zones on portions of Ardmore Place and Wiregrass Lane in the city of Franklin, Tennessee.
You have the proposed ordinance, and I'm passing out a redline version from the law department that I received today. It's very minor changes. It's mostly to read better.
All right.
Engineers are not.
I have a question. Have we sent notice to the homeowners in the area?
Before they come in here?
No, this came from Southern Land, who is the acting.
Yeah, I know. And I know, and listen, I have a crystal ball, okay? And here's what's going to happen. We're going to do the right thing, and then we're going to have a room full of angry people with pitchforks, okay? I don't want to even take one step on this until we have sent letters to everybody whose rooftop appears in this picture. Okay? And I realize that it was driven by a school bus driver and the fire department vetted it. But when you start telling people they can't park on the street in front of their house anymore,
yes,
we end up in long work session meetings. So let's
have that back at your next.
We'll bring it back with that.
Yeah, that's just, and you don't want to start off by trying to unwind it by telling them, well, yeah, we passed it on one, we had a meeting.
How far out do you want to go? Last time we did this, there was some controversy.
Yeah, I know.
So what would you all like to do?
The further stamps are cheap. Okay, because a lot of people, once you get far enough out, a lot of people say, I don't care about that, that's 2 blocks away. Okay? But I don't want to miss anyone that cares.
Is it a 2 or 3 block area?
When I say everybody in the picture, I'm not necessarily being exactly serious, but...
Maybe some of those in Ardmore.
Would we not see it the ones that we're taking the no parking or the parking away from?
Well, definitely everybody in the shaded areas. You can kind of see it shaded.
Yeah.
But, I'll use Dana's crystal ball.
Well, see, I don't know which...
Well,
here's the thing. I don't these houses here, I don't know whether their address is Wiregrass or... I guess it is because it's shown as alley behind it.
Yeah. I think it's just right
here.
here.
They can't make the turn right in there.
So let's just put the people who would be affected on notice, because, as you know, West Haven was one concept that was important was on-street parking. I mean, that's part and parcel of this whole
Where are the shaded areas you're talking about?
It's very subtle. From here to here.
If you look at the colored version, it's very clear.
And we have the black and white.
I'll bet it's very clear.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to do that whole.
I think we need
to
go
the stamps are cheap.
Let's add a block on.
Has that split? Let's do that whole road, because if they can't park in front of their house.
All of that.
That's right. You're going to push on-street parking down to a block away. Okay. All right. Number 7, street project status reports. Okay.
Do you want anything in particular?
Yes, I do.
Nickel Mills, what's on there?
Well, let's, I
Okay,
guess,
Ms.
Mac
Coleman.
Hatcher, you will see on your board packet when you get it that there are several closings that have taken place on right-of-way purchase for that project. Hillsborough Road, anything else on Mac Hatcher?
On Mac Hatcher, I was talking to Ben this morning, of the 11 homes that we needed to do a full acquisition on, we've now acquired six of the 11.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And then when you look at everything, there's about 45 different parcels that we need, and we have agreement on about 11 of those 45. So we're making progress, but especially in the area of the properties that are the full purchase.
And if you'll recall, the time frame for completing right-of-way easement acquisition was March of 2011. I think the middle of March 15th or something like that. That's what we had set up for the time frame.
Yeah, and I actually got an update from TDOT yesterday that, currently they don't have funding for construction, so they are setting everything off of the hopes that funding comes in their next fiscal budgeting year. And so we'll have the construction plans, approvals set up so that if they do get funding, whatever, I guess they're in October. If we get funding in October, then we'll have plans to be approved right before that so they can let it once their budget takes effect.
You mean we don't really know when they're going to start on Mac Hatcher?
No, ma'am.
It's dependent on their funding, state funding.
And the state will be doing the construction. The city will not have any part of the construction. Although, as I'm talking to Eric Stuckey this time, today he was asking me about this. I will be coming to you asking that we go to TDOT and try to get an agreement similar to what we had to do with Hillsborough, in where we have some say on how things are finished, at least. Because we're going to have to do maintenance on a lot of what's going to be built, the pedestrian ways, the landscape, and all that stuff. So, but we can talk about that more later. But
So one more time, what are we doing with the 6 homes we bought?
Well, the first one that we bought, we put it out for bid to sell and have somebody move it. We were thinking on the remaining 10 that probably half of them are good to be able to move and the other half aren't, whether that's because of flood damage or just the way that the structure is built. So once we have the ones, we're going to go ahead and start putting out for bid the ones that we think can move. If we get a favorable response on those, move those. If we don't, we want to go ahead and do at least a group of demos together rather than do each individual
one bid for multiple demolitions.
Because we don't want to be in the homeowner business.
Right. We want to get them moved or taken down as quickly as we can after we've closed.
Speaking of that, we granted that guy months ago the contract to move that house, and nothing's happened on it.
His deadline is...
So we did have a deadline in the contract?
Yeah, there is a
okay,
deadline.
Good. All right.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but
I think
it's
September.
soon.
Okay.
It's very soon.
I just want to make sure that we do put deadlines in the contract.
Yeah, we do have that on that. I can get back to you on this.
Is this the house facing Hillsborough Road?
Yes. The one
brick.
Mac Hatcher runs right
The brick.
into.
The red brick.
All right, that's a good segue. Hillsborough Road?
Hillsborough Road, there's no change, other than we did get notice that the enhancement grant request of, I think it was $2 million, whatever it was denied. We are not approved for that, so we do have a $500,000 enhancement. I think it's still in effect. We kept, but the rest of that's for the spot improvements. For the rest of it, we do not have any enhancement.
And when is the timeline for construction?
Well, we're still looking at, early 2012.
You mean
We haven't been authorized. We have not been authorized by TDOT yet to start right-of-way acquisition.
What are
we have
waiting
to be authorized before we start.
What are we waiting on? What are they waiting on?
I'm not sure. I haven't
Well, for one thing, we haven't got the last contract back either, executed, the one we did.
Is this because they don't have a leader?
No, it's just process. That has changed on us in the last year.
Stand on the gas, please. We begin and end
streetscape projects left and right, and we can't get a real traffic solution done.
Well, now, I'm going to have to say that one reason it has been delayed is because we did add streetscape to it, too, so.
Well, fine, but we can, I'm not going to grind this axe again, I'm just telling you.
I understand.
I stuck around to get this project done. Any other street project status?
Well, not to delay that, but 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue and 1st Avenue are not state streets.
We have more.
Columbia Avenue is.
Columbia Avenue is.
And we did not have to have.
And you know what? That subtlety is lost upon people when there's. That subtlety is lost upon people who are sitting in traffic again on Hillsborough Road because the school board decided to have another Power Monday.
And I'm not suggesting that it's not. I'm just saying that what we have control over, we've been able to maybe run a little bit faster, a little bit smoother.
That's an accurate statement.
All right.
Any other road projects that need to be updated?
I want to talk about number 5.
Well, I want to go to McEwen first, just to ask you, and just a general question. You got $1 million to school board. That's to be spent in the areas where we, at Breezeway, McEwen, Car, whatever the road is out there that's on, all the other streets, Clovercroft. Does that tie into anything that we've got here as far as phase 3 on improvements?
No. We're looking at a separate project for the intersection of McEwen and Wilson Pike.
Okay.
We will be bringing to you, hopefully, may even be able to tell you what an anticipated design cost will be Tuesday night, because there is a discussion at the board work.
It is on your agenda for Tuesday night to talk about some of these.
But we will be we're looking at that, and it will be a separate project.
And the improvements you're looking at are really a component of McEwen Phase 4,
right?
That will be advancing to help provide this a little bit of relief around those intersections and to provide a turn lane and work better with the signalization.
Again, to remind you, as you said, there's $1 million coming from the school board, and then we have the $1 million from the, I guess, facilities tax, whatever it was.
Adequate facilities tax.
That you have talked about using also, and we will probably use up all that for the McEwen Wilson Pike.
Mm-hmm. So what about the Clovercroft?
Well, that's an issue that we will be. Well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it now too. That's the issue we'll be addressing with the county. Wilson Pike and Clovercroft Road are in the county's jurisdiction, not ours. Their signal will be put up by the school board, assuming we can get TDOT approval of the signal. The left turn lane on Wilson Pike needs to be extended, and I believe the traffic study says we need to have a right turn lane off of Clovercroft. Mm-hmm. So, but we need to talk with county street department or highway department and county government, not the school board government, but the county government concerning if they can do anything or will do anything. It is in their jurisdiction.
So, in addition to the money that they agreed to give us for McEwen, there won't be any money from them for Clovercroft?
Well, they've given us the money, and we've identified the different projects, and I guess based on the agreement, it's the city's discretion on which projects we do. We're talking about McEwen because it is entirely in the city limits. We feel like it's the one that provides the most traffic relief, but it's the most expensive.
Wait. You're not saying you don't think that it's going to provide the most traffic relief right there in front of the school?
Oh, they're doing those improvements as a part of their project.
Some of the ones right in front of the school is part of the school.
Yes.
Now, that's the right turn lane from Clovercroft into...
No, I was talking, yes, but I was talking about a right turn lane at Clovercroft and Wilson Pike. A westbound right turn lane.
Yeah.
Oh, so that doesn't go all the way over to Wilson
No, ma'am.
Pike?
It's a quarter of a mile or so away.
I did not realize that. Does the property go all the way over?
No, ma'am. No, there's
several properties.
This is one that's all outside.
At least a half a mile away.
there are residences along the road. There are a couple or something that are actually in the county. So the city limits kind of goes around that corner and then back to Clovercroft.
I just don't remember noticing that on the plats or anything like that. When I drove out there, I was just thinking.
And I agree completely that that intersection of Clovercroft and Wilson Pike is a county and state issue. And we need to spend that money on city issues, and then if there's a problem, they need to fix that problem. I mean, they created the problem, so.
That's where the most traffic is.
Well, you know, it's their road, and you know, we don't spend money fixing up their road. We've never done it before, shouldn't do it now, and you know, I think the staff's right, and McEwen is where that money needs to be spent. And it also helps fray the cost of McEwen 4 as well, which would be part of that.
So the turn lane, the turn lanes on Wilson Pike and the left turn onto Clovercroft would be totally county, state?
Well, there is an existing left turn lane on Wilson Pike going to Clovercroft right now. It's just not long enough based on the traffic study, so it needs to be lengthened. But that is a state route.
They do have that
yes.
set up there, though, but that wouldn't be that much.
Right.
Now, the right turn, though, coming from Clovercroft over to
that would be the biggest part of that.
That's going to be big.
Yeah, it's going to be bigger, and it's going to cost more than just doing the laneage, because to get the right turn lane in, it appears you're going to have to extend a culvert. Pretty good sized culvert, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be the most expensive part of that intersection. Yes.
That part wasn't clear to me, and I'm sure it wasn't clear to many of the people who spoke.
All right, are there other road projects that need to be?
Columbia, 85%, what does that mean next week?
It's going to be this month.
End of the month.
I mean, if you go out there, they've got
everything
most
shut
of the
down.
sidewalk is
A lot of vacancies.
most of the sidewalk is complete. Of course, they've been staging on one property, so that whole property there where the Kentucky Fried Chicken is needs to be redone. But
Is that does that have one more layer of paving?
Yes,
ma'am. It has some top.
That's just a little short.
Yes. Yeah. But once the last thing that they do will be the paving, because we don't want the equipment out there tearing up the brand new asphalt. So they'll be doing that here in a few weeks.
Is there any irrigation out there, or is everything just drying up?
There's irrigation.
Okay, that's good. I just look at those roses and those trees. And
Yeah, those sprinkler heads.
It is. It is.
Any minute now.
Did you have a question on number 5?
Yes, I do.
Nickel mill.
What's
Number 5, South Carruthers. Is this designed? Is everything ready, but just the doing?
Well, we do have a couple of properties that we haven't gotten. Basically, we've made offers to everybody. We haven't pushed on it as hard as we have on MyCatcher. All of our acquisition time is being spent on MyCatcher right now. If this was funded for construction, we'd find a way to go ahead and get these last couple of properties, because we've got the resolution for condemnation. We could go to condemnation if we needed to. So really, it's.
But even if you did, we haven't funded it.
You haven't funded construction. You funded design and right away, and that's what we're working on.
I just hope that everything will be ready, because with 3 large developments out there that are coming online, I would like to see us be proactive instead of reactive.
No, I don't know how fast the developments are coming online, but okay, I agree with you.
Well, I don't want us to get into another mess like Breezeway, and I would like to see the road done and have the developers be able to have some kind of relief when they get ready to do this, and so we don't have the same thing we have on Clovercroft and McEwen.
Let me also say, though, this is about the same price as Hillsborough, and we still don't have Hillsborough done, and the traffic is already there.
Well,
So
and
I appreciate your comment.
And then not only that, but when they get ready to do this 65 widening, that's gonna be a relief to.
There's no traffic on the east side of 65.
But there will be.
And there will be traffic on the east side of 65. There'll be traffic on the north side, south side, every side you can get on if you shut down 65. That's just simply the way it is.
But at the end of the day, we did a ranking.
Yeah.
And that one's not funded, and so there you go.
We will be discussing it again.
And we have a chance to redo that.
So,
And Mike can do his, well, you got that, so you don't even have to come.
anything else on any of those?
Was this the project that we were
Small project?
obligated to kind of do? I mean,
Yes.
and then we are right away acquisition complete next November. Will be
Construction funding has been.
completed. Okay.
Right-of-way's complete.
Oh, okay.
You funded construction, Nickel Mill.
Okay.
You funded construction.
So we
As a
will-
part of the right-of-way negotiations, we made a promise to them out there that we would not start any construction until after the Christmas season was over. So we will not start any construction on that project until we get,
What
Out
are
of winter.
They want to get
What
to
are
the
they
harbor.
doing out there? They tearing up.
Water line.
What?
it's water line, Mallory
Water
Valley.
line.
Oh. So something's being done.
Yeah, Mallory Valley is putting in a water line that will be tearing up quite a bit of area. If you'll remember, we entered into an agreement with Mallory Valley for the water line on Mallory Station Road, from Franklin Road over to General George Patton too, so we'll be doing that soon.
Any other roads? Good. 8, water management project status.
I could run down the list, or however you want to do it.
Unless someone has a specific question, I assume that you don't need to do that. The report is here.
The reservoir is how close?
Did anybody
That's a
go
good
there?
one to highlight.
Just tell me when there's crappie.
No crappie just yet.
Maybe a while.
You'll have to use a seine.
The lining is complete. At the time of this memo, there's been a lot of progress, actually. The GeoWeb is complete. The maintenance access ramp, otherwise known as the boat ramp, has been installed. And the level tower has been put out in the reservoir. The outstanding items are, of course, cleanup, some final grading on the outer embankments, and a baffle curtain around the intake structure. So we're plodding along. We think hopefully by the end of next week. Chris, have we heard that? End of next week, they're off-site? Or possibly 2 weeks, so we're getting there.
Thank you for the tour.
You're welcome.
Very interesting.
Number 9, stormwater project status reports.
Any questions?
I would at least highlight the number 3, the on-call. What we've done after the flooding in May, we had a few calls, just a few, and went out and looked at some areas where there's been some erosion, some different problems. So basically, we as staff have went out and inspected all of the major tributaries to the Harpeth River in the city limits. Started a database of where we've got design projects that will need to be done. And in the meantime, we went out with an RFQ to get a few on-call, what we're calling on-call consultants that can come in. Once we prioritize, once we funded design and construction for these projects, we can get the design started and move forward. So we did select 3 of the 14 that submitted for us, and they were CEC, AMAC, and URS.
All right. If there's nothing else, we're done. Thank you.